Hi everyone. I'm updating you like I promised on my video blog. I know I promised I would do this weekly, and this is only my second update since the beginning of January, but I was hit with a case of pneumonia and it was pretty serious, so I've been told I need to take a month off of raising my heart rate unnecessarily and basically physical activity in general, which is a bummer because I was going to have this video blog more of a workout blog, maybe following some exercises, but instead I've had to alter that. So as an update, my first goal for my first blog was 3 basic things to get back to, and the first one, well, I don't know what order I did it in, but the first one was to have my food prepped, and for the most part I did. Got hit with a little bit of the pneumonia, and I had to spend some time in the hospital and be a little off plan there and off with my prep. But for the most part, my food was prepped and ready to go. I'd say my diet compliance is around 70%, which is good enough for now, but definitely not good enough to continue getting results. I want to get that up a little bit, so I have been tracking my meals, and I will be checking in with my coach with my tracked meals, which I haven't been doing lately, so that's going to get me back on track, and I'll update you how that goes for the next time. But for now, I'm down about 5 pounds since the beginning of the year. A lot of that's that initial water weight. When you shift and change what you're doing or get back to a routine, a lot of that is water weight. And my water has been up, especially because I've been sick. It's really important that my fluids are up and everything's flushing through me. So that has been going well. Sleep has been going well almost by default because of the sickness. It was important that I get lots of rest. So the water and the sleep kind of took care of itself with the sickness, and the food prep was there, and it was a lot of work to get back to because I know it's not my habit right now. It is harder to work for something when you're not used to doing it than, of course, when it becomes automatic when you've been doing it long enough. But I know if I put in the work, I'm going to get back there. So I'm going to continue with the food prep, trying to get my diet compliance higher this next week here. So hopefully I'll have some better results in the next week just from diet alone. And diet is the driving force for any fat loss. I'm lucky because for the past 10 years I have been training. I do have that muscle memory, so I know when I get back to training, that's going to take care of itself. I love training. That's not the hard part. I don't love dieting quite as much, and even though I'm not suffering or deprived, I love to snack, and I eat things I'm not supposed to all the time, so I have to keep that in check if I'm true to wanting to achieve my goals. So instead of a workout blog, I'm actually going to take you through a stretching routine and a core routine that I've been doing. It's really basic, and I just want to show you some of the stretches that I do to keep up my range of motion and my flexibility. So I've kind of cleared my living room. I'm doing this from my own iPad setup, so excuse the videography of whatever this is. But I'm just going to go through my routine. So for stretching, what I want to make sure is I start with a warm body. So I actually usually do this after a shower or a warm bath just because I can't get my heart rate up right now. So I try to get my body warm in another way just so I'm not working cold. So what I do is I try to create length from standing. So I go up and I go side, lengthen through the spine, side, lengthen through the spine. And then what I do is I like to go with a flat back down and then relax at the bottom, dropping the head, relaxing the neck, bend the knees, and roll up. So the first time I do that, I'll take a longer time to do it and move through the positions, and then I'll start flowing through it just a little bit quicker. So I usually do that about 5 times through. And then I take it down to the ground. For me, my hip flexors are very tight in comparison to other parts of my body. So I make sure that I do a hip flexor stretch where I'm stretching along this area, trying to create length, and I'll go forwards, and then I go backwards, doing a hamstring stretch there, and then I'll collapse over the hamstring, and then I'll repeat. And then once my hip flexors start to feel like they're getting opened up, I'll either raise one arm or even both, even reaching back during that stretch to create more length. And again, hamstring, collapse. And I'll move through that there. I also like a pigeon stretch from yoga. So with that, you bring your foot in and it's a stretch for the glutes and the hip on that front leg. It's also deep into the hip flexors there, and I'll stretch it back, and then I'll collapse forward. So I do that stretch as well. And then going onto the ground, I like to make sure that I open up through the lower back. So I'll do some knee drops side to side, and I'll stretch through there. And then I'll even grab my toes with 2 fingers, so you do a yogi grip through the toes, and I'll stretch and press my heels and just pull it back there. And that's a really deep stretch behind the knees and into the hamstrings. So I do that as my stretching routine. I try to go through each part of it about 5 times, and that's to keep my range of motion and my flexibility in check, so that when I go and work out, when I can, I don't feel restricted, and I keep my body in a healthy shape and a good range of motion, even though I can't be training right now. So that's what I do for that. I also am keeping up with some core exercises. There's 3 that I'm doing right now. Sorry. And the first one, I go here, and I'm keeping my lower back on the ground flat, keeping my abs pressed, my belly button pulled in, and I do heel drops and pull it back up. So the whole time, I'm engaging through the core, and I drop my heels, and I usually do about 20 reps. After that, legs go up, pelvis is in a neutral position, and I reach for the toes. So this is a variation of a crunch. This is the variation that works best for me because it puts my lower body in a good position where I'm not going to strain my back or use my hip flexors. I'm in a position where I'm using the top part of my abdominals. So you can try that, just reaching as high as you can towards the toes. And it also takes away from this where you can start to be pulling the neck in a regular crunch. I like to be reaching for something. It helps keep my body in target for where it's supposed to be. The last thing I do is a plank position. So you can go from the knees to start or go from the feet. Just make sure you're squeezing the glutes, pulling the abs in, keeping the back as flat as possible. So when you're here, keep neutral and be engaging the entire time. If you're not squeezing the glutes and you're not pulling the abs in, you're actually training muscles that are already strong to be stronger, and then the weak muscles start to fall. So you're getting actually more of an imbalance if you're not engaged through the plank position. So be really careful with that. It's more important to do a 30-second engaged plank than a 90-second plank where you're just letting the body fall. All right, so that's my update. Hopefully you can take some of that and incorporate it in your own routine if you've been looking for elements like that. And just some things to note. I do have a high range of flexibility in comparison to the average person. I have a gymnastics background, a fitness background. Stretching shouldn't be painful, but if you're trying to train for flexibility, hold your positions and try to relax into your positions. Strength and flexibility can work against each other, and if you're trying to focus more on the flexibility, you don't want to be squeezing intense, you want to be more relaxed. So try to keep that in mind. A good way to become more relaxed, focus on your breathing. Focus on the exhale. That's the relaxation point. So that's what I've been doing, and this is your Sunday night blog post for that. So I will keep you posted. I will do a check-in next week on the Sunday, and I will be traveling that weekend, so maybe I'll talk a little bit about how to keep up with diet when you're traveling, maybe some ordering and restaurant tips or something like that. So I'll be thinking for the week about you, so I will keep you posted for next week.